We know. I wanted to introduce, not the panelists, I'll let Flor do that, but I'll introduce Flor, and it's funny, we know each other pretty well, but I wrote a bio while we sat outside. This is Flor. She is a journalist who writes under the name of Florencia Franceschetti. She is the founder of Too Much Love, which we're celebrating tonight. You'll see some of the zines up here. They feature the artists who are on the panel tonight also. She also owns Raygun, which is a PR and production agency, and is a member of Arts Club. She's been coming since the beginning, and we see each other all over the place all the time. So welcome, Flor, and our beautiful panelists. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you guys for being here tonight, okay? Yeah, I'll pass you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, as Anna said, I'm the founder of Too Much Love. That it's a publication that started in 2013 here in Miami. First, it was like a passion project side thing where I would write things that maybe other media wouldn't pick up. I write for Miami New Times, for the Herald, for some national publications every now and then. And I wanted to have a place that it was more free and that it covered more alternative stuff, that it wasn't just driven by who will click on it or, things like that, and interesting stories that I wanted to share. And we also have a podcast, and earlier this year, we decided with Steli Almeida, that she's not here today because she's traveling, but she puts the scene together with me, and she's the editor of the scene. We decided to start launching a scene, something that it will be fun, easy to grab, easy to take with you, and that will feature stories that are very related to Miami. And now we have our week edition that's going to be on the streets next week, and we're previewing it with you guys today. And it features all local artists that I encounter throughout the years, that I'm friends with, that I have lots of conversations with, or that I annoy with things over text. And in a nutshell, this scene started, and many of the content that is included here as part of a book that I'm working on, that it's a book of interviews with local artists. And since it was taking me a little bit longer than what I wanted, planned, anybody that works on books knows the struggle. I decided to grab some of those interviews and put them in this scene. So we're here with Luna Palazzolo, Richard Vergez, and Kelly Breez. They're all amazing artists that work in Miami all year round, and that's what we focus on mostly, on artists that really are part of the growth of the city. And yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about that today. So that's just like some boring intro, like Too Much Love, the radio.
Kelly's part of the
I know, so
PowerPoint.
But yeah, this edition of the scene features, as I said, the three artists that we have here, plus Brian Butler and Justina, that she's here. Where's Justina?
try to pronounce my name.
I was gonna ask you to do it so I don't make a
Justina.
Justina. I call her Justina.
The last name.
Kissy Lewicks. Kissy Lewicks?
That's almost there.
Yeah.
Kissy Lewy.
Kissy Lewicks. That's the Miami version.
Strong effort.
That's right.
So we're gonna start with a few general questions about Miami and the state of Miami's art scene, and then we're gonna talk more about the specific practice of each of the artists that we have here today. So the first general question, and Richard, since you have the microphone.
Take it away.
Yeah, perfect. You're ready. I know. So with Art Week around the corner, what do you think were the main changes in the local art scene in the past 5 years?
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a big
That's heavy. Well, I was actually just talking with Carly, the photographer who shot all the amazing shots in this zine.
Exact, Carly there. Like, then we're gonna talk about that. There's so
Yeah.
many things. I just didn't want to be like talking and talking and talking.
And kind of what I was most excited about this art week is that I'm not really doing anything too crazy, but something kind of landed in my lap where I have the opportunity to do a album cover art show. I design record covers, and that's going to be at Sweat on December 6th. Plug. But I like it because it's chill, it's kind of out of the way. I enjoy the fairs, I enjoy everything, but it feels like every year it just gets more and more, and just the traffic gets worse, and it just becomes a very stressful time. And I feel like it's this like one time the year that we're all just so focused on doing everything in these few days, where it's like, why can't we do it all year round, and why can't we spread it around? And like working with like Homework Gallery, like they were very much believers in that, and not just focusing on Art Week. So within the last 5 years, I don't know, I've gotten older, so I feel like I just want to kind of rest a little bit more. I'll pass it to...
Okay. Same question?
Same question.
So, I don't know. I mean, there's so much that has changed in the last 5 years, and at the pace that everything is changing, it's kind of hard to keep track of every change. But I can tell you that I have changed personally, and the way that I see Art Week spills into the rest of the year for me. And if anything, I'm most excited about just going out to party with my friends and check out some of the opportunities and exhibitions that they're not here year round. But pretty much I see this year, this time of the year, as a moment for entertainment over anything else. So I'm still glad that it happens here. It brings a level of importance and seriousness that it's very much needed for the artists working here and the institutions and organizations. But personally, I'm ready for December 10th.
Let's end.
The end.
That's my birthday. The 10th is my birthday. So you ready for my birthday?
Also, shout out to the fact that every single year, every person in this room is going to get sick on December 10th. No one is going to text each other after that. We're all going to go into caves. It's just a fact, and we all know it.
Yeah.
I think the main thing that's changed is, like back in the day, the art fairs would roll in, and every single one of us would pretend to be art handlers and just like take whatever work we could get, just like scurrying around trying to make a little money because people are in town. And now all the artists that live here are participating and having shows, and like people are starting to like recognize that, and that's kind of a huge win for the squad, because it gets to a certain point and then you're like, okay, well, maybe all of us could be involved, not just a bunch of people pulling up. And anyways, so yeah, things are different now. Things are going great. Also looking forward to partying. See you guys on the street.
And Kelly, since you have the microphone, there you go. So, like a lot of your work, like the most eye-catching work, like I'm sure that you produce, I'm sure many people are familiar here with your matchbook series or the how-to that it's in the back of this scene. They combine not only, your visual arts skills, but also creative writing. How do you see those two skills living together, and why you decide to incorporate the creative writing in your work?
Yeah, it's a whole thing with the work that I make. I'm very drawn to text-based stuff because I went to Dreyfus for high school. It's like an hour north, and I was actually in communications because I did not get accepted into visual, so they can all suck it. And so I did a lot of creative writing. I was in speech and debate, huge nerd, love, text as an art form. And so, yeah, the how-to thing kind of came about because I was just like, how am I going to squish all these jokes into pieces? So that, yeah, I think that's kind of like I like making those the most because it's just a way to talk to people more broadly than just painting a face.
Yeah, something that I think we talked before is like I feel that your work talks to us, like talks to the people that is like, you know, reading like in your face, you're telling
Yeah.
them something like, hey, wake up, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's very unique of your work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I enjoy talking and making work, so it really goes hand in hand, yes. I never made it to stand-up comedy, so I just make how-to books.
And well, talking about text as an art form, Luna, this question is for you. You work with so many different mediums, right? Like from metal to cement to technology like coding and words. Initially, when we talked for the scene, we were talking about a project that it was text a poem, that people will text the word poem to a number and then they will get a poem from you. And there is like a constant around like crossing your work that is a little bit of the sense of nostalgia or the sense of getting inspiration from things from the past. So tell me a little bit more about that.
About which part?
About all of that, about using nostalgia as a source of inspiration.
Well, it's inevitable for me to not use it. I'm naturally drawn to the past, and I think maybe it comes from the books that I used to read when I was a kid were written in past form, in past tense. So I got attached to it, and the idea that the past was always better, but not because it was necessarily better, but because we tend to idealize it and romanticize it. And because this idea comes from my childhood, it's also attached to poetry a lot, which is one of my first approach to an art form in general lines. So that particular project, Text a Poem, has very little to do with coding and a lot to do with marketing, which to me it's kind of the present day psychoanalysis, and I think it uses a lot of human behavior and response and trauma in order to get something back from it. So this is something that is an automated system. You tend to write, I don't know, cement machine to Harbor Freight, and they send you the offers they have. So I thought that it would be kind of like an idea. I was like, here we can distribute many other things that are not necessarily attached to money or tangible possessions in that regard, while at the same time referencing an artist from the past, which is John Giorno, and he made this rotary phone, and it's at the bus right now. You can pick up the phone and dial a number, and you will have a poet reciting you the number. So I thought it was an ingenious play on technology and how we interact with it to kind of take what he did, but mold it to our context at our times.
Awesome, that's great.
Is it still functioning?
No.
Oh.
But I receive funding for anyone that wants to fund it.
It was actually, it got a, was it a Waymaker?
It was a Waymaker grant that came through Locus Project.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like it was funded by the Andy Warhol Foundation for a month.
For a whole month, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I sent many texts.
Yeah.
of, like,
You did,
poem,
you did.
Poem.
Thank you.
So who was on the other side of the line?
Just a platform. It was me setting up the first time, and then automatically it would respond every day without me. I would still go to see who texted me. It wasn't to my phone number, so I was like, who messaged me, you know? But no, it wasn't me directly on the other side.
And Richard, you work mostly with collage, and I mean, we worked many opportunities in the past together. You know, I love your work.
Thank you.
And there are many, most of your pieces are very minimalist, but they say a lot. Like they make people think, right? You actually done commission work for The Guardian, for many other national, international publications. and you always keep this minimalism, but saying a lot as part of your signature mark in a way. When you're composing a piece or collage, do you think about what you want to express, or that comes after?
It depends. I might have something in mind that I want to express. Like this is a good example. Like I like these quotidian kind of phrases, like "Let me get out of your hair." Something that's very simplistic that you're always kind of saying, just as like filler sometimes in conversations. So I'm like, well, how can I illustrate that and make it something that's has a little bit more depth, but then is also still too open for interpretation. I don't like to like give it all away at once. I guess a big inspiration behind these kinds of still frame stories is definitely film. Like I love in certain films like where a scene can just say so much, and just watching one scene where maybe nothing's going on. And then going back to like the Far Side comics, do you guys remember Gary Larson? He used to do the Far Side, and you would have these just one frame comics. I never got into comics. It would just always seem like it was like too chaotic for me. So I really always identified with these Far Side comics where it was just like this one frame, and it was a punchline, and it told the story, and it was just so impactful. But sometimes in that simplicity, that can be like kind of just as difficult to, convey a message, get a story across or an idea across using just like two elements. So I've kind of like watered it down to, or not watered it down, but kind of made it into where here are two elements that are interacting that kind of tell the story, and that's important for me versus like here's this, this, and a bunch of other things. So it's like I feel like that sometimes can be just as difficult, and that's the kind of challenge that I like. Yeah.
Yeah, and you use most, when I did a studio visit some time ago, most of your images, you get them from old time magazines.
Right, so everything is hand cut, and it's kind of like if I want this piece, so it's like, okay, I'm looking for people getting out of an airplane. I'm gonna have to look through maybe like 20 issues of Life, or maybe like, no, maybe that's an easier one. Maybe that's like 10 issues or something. Okay, here's like the kind of angle that I want, and then okay, here's like the back of somebody's head. But then sometimes you're looking through stuff, and then that also inspires the composition or inspires the idea, where I might see, oh, here's this. I can't remember if this one was actually like the idea was there first or the images were there first. And a practice of mine is just to cut out whenever I see something that interests me, and then kind of leave it, put it aside, and then I might pick it up like a bunch of years later and be like, oh, okay, this works here, and then put it together. And I like the idea that we could all do this.
Do you put it together in Photoshop?
No, glue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of glue?
Elmer's Craft Bond glue stick
Are you a Mod Podge guy?
is my glue. Mod Podge, I don't know, I couldn't do it. I tried like doing Mod Podge stuff in like matte medium, and it was just like a little too messy. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, anybody that is deep into collage, they should go to Richard's studio. There, I said it. I invited people to your house.
Come on down, 347 Southwest 2nd and 11.
Kelly, for last Art Week, you had a really, really cool exhibit.
Woo!
Yeah. It was Dirt's Dive.
Woo!
Yay! Many people here were involved.
Shout out to Anna and Nicole for that.
Thank you, Nicole. That's where we met in person. Like, I've been like following your work since before, but that's where I actually met you. And that project it was at the Fine Art Project Room. There you go. And basically, for anybody that doesn't know, Kelly built a full bar. It was this image was not supposed to be that big. That's why it's all pixelated. But you guys get the idea of how it was. And it was a pretty big project. It was a dive bar, that it was an installation, that it kind of like combined many of the things that you do in one place and in a big scale, in an interactive scale.
Yeah.
So my question is, what was the main thing you learned from from not only from like an art application skills perspective, but also from a social perspective of seeing people interact with your work.
That was kind of the most fascinating aspect. I think one of the reasons I love a dive bar so much is that I'm super interested in people and how, like, I love talking to people. I love seeing how they, huge observer. So setting up a thing like this during Art Week was, it was like a big social experiment. It was, it was great. If any of you got to make it to that,
My favorite part about it was that there was like a red carpet and ropes to go into the
I know, that was there's so many different types of people, and I always say that dive bars are like the great equalizer, because no matter how much money you have or what your whole thing is, you walk into a stinky spot with a mean bartender and we're all the same. So that was really cool to get to see people interact. The fisherman got his ass handed to him like the entire time. People were picking him up and like trying to like rip him off the ceiling, and there was a lot of like, don't touch him. So it's after that it was really easy to tell like who was innately rude and who was a nice polite person, even if they're wasted. I was just doing a lot of observing.
And anything that you learn from that interaction that you will apply for the future?
Yes, don't use fishing line to hang dummies from the ceiling. It's really dicey.
And the day before the install, remember he got hit with that like flood?
Dude, that was so crazy. Nicole, we're like in there, everything's all installed. A huge storm rolls through, and just water starts literally coming through the door and like just gushing into pretty much like here. We had to like roll the jukebox into the middle of the floor and say a little prayer. I don't know. I as far as learning stuff, all jokes aside, you have to be a really good project manager when you're an artist, unless you have Anna or Nicole on your side. But yeah, it was a lot of, this room is a white triangle. So every single thing that you see was extremely on purpose, which there's so many details in there that you can't even imagine. I don't know. I just took made a lot of mental notes about further planning.
Awesome. Luna, besides being an artist, you also have a really interesting project that is Tunnel. And Tunnel is a collective artist studios in Little Havana.
Yes.
And it is a pretty innovative concept, but also going back to the nostalgia part, because it's in a strip mall, it's underground, and it gives affordable art spaces to artists that, again, work here all year around, and they need a place to work that they can afford, right? So I wonder if Tunnel if you see it as an extension of your work as an artist, if it's applies to the creative process too.
So Tunnel has some different verticals, and one of them is the artist taking residency and using the spaces as a place to work. In which case, I don't see that as an extension of my practice, but a very necessary part, because naturally we ended up becoming friends and building community, and it's a very humane negotiation when we're always exchanging notes and feedback, but then the exhibition room, the project room, I do see it as a part of my practice, because the way that it's curated is somewhat attached to the things that I am attracted by, so not just in terms of conceptual work, but also in the process of making. A lot of the people that is invited show works in process or works that are maybe research or investigation. So it's not necessarily something that would fit on your regular white cube space, or that you have to go through a bunch of bureaucracy to get there. So it's more about just the final work. It has a lot to do with the process and the artists themselves. But it's hard not to consider it a part of my practice. I dedicate so much time and effort to it, and as much as I want to be unbiased and observe, as you were saying, I cannot be an observer. It's very biased. I'm there all the time, you know. So
Awesome. So something that, since the picture is there, that I want to mention, for the scene, that's the cover. Luna's in the cover. Oh, sorry. For the scene,
show them.
in case I didn't see it there. For the scene, we took pictures with Carly Evans. That Carly's over there. She's an amazing photographer and art director. And we chose spaces. Both Richard, like the three of them, Luna, Richard, and Kelly. We took pictures with everybody. And what we did, we chose locations in Alapara, because we think Alapara, it's, you know, where the art world has been pushed to. But it's a beautiful place. I had a warehouse in Alapara maybe for 3 years that I lived in the warehouse, in a Puma warehouse that's, you know, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Puma. We know Puma. They're not your New York style warehouses. They are like the warehouses for shipping containers and stuff like that. So I had a good knowledge, more or less, of the different areas in Alapara. And we got for Luna a metal yard that it has all pink containers and like pink rusty metal stuff that I thought about Luna.
Thank you. I do like rust.
Yeah, no, like she works a lot with metal, and I thought it was feminine too, so we chose that location, and Carly captured it amazingly. Then for Richard, we got
Rusty feminism.
Rusty
We
Feminism.
just came up with a genre,
That's a
a
new
subgenre of art.
For Richard, we did pictures at a railroad in Alapara, that is on Northwest 17th Avenue, and because Richard worked on an exhibit that was really cool, that it was called Trains of Thought, and it spoke about what basically, you know, trains and Miami and urbanization. Can you tell me a little bit more about Trains of Thought?
So Trains of Thought was a solo exhibit I had for Art Week in 2022 with Homework Gallery. And the premise of the show was kind of trains as a motif for progression, communication, exchange. I mean, so many different things I feel that trains can be symbolic of, and also coming from like sound perspective too, just the sounds they make and just how they're so all-encompassing, and you know, they murder people on a almost monthly basis. The bright line. And
especially when cities are not prepared for them.
right, so they're a very interesting force of machinery and just I guess human development, and just trying to make things faster and faster. So that was the idea with the trains. And Flora said, "Hey, I've got this like awesome corner on the corner, like here in Alapata, and we're gonna like just pull. Yeah, not dangerous at all. Just pull up. Maybe a train might pass by. I don't know."
I'm there with my 2-year-old too.
And I said, oh look, here's this like piece of like rusty metal. Let me pick it up and just like throw it over my shoulders. And Carly was shooting us, and it was totally fun. You had your daughter with us, and it was amazing. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome. But and then with Kelly, it's there. With Kelly, we found a really cool corner that it's a boatyard, but it's not a fancy boatyard. I mean, boatyards are not fancy, but like it was.
Thank God.
Yeah. But also because many of Kelly's work is inspired by your work that you work at a boatyard with your dad for some time restoring a boat, right?
Oh yeah, James and I were living in San Francisco, and it was hard. And my dad was like, "I got a new sailboat. I sold the other one. It's 36 feet, and I really need help restoring it." And I was on a plane like 2 days later, and I was like, "BRB, James," and literally never went back. Yeah, working on the boatyard was like the most fun job I've ever had. As a person who loves like people watching, it was like cream of the crop. It was just me and a bunch of like old, mean, salty guys. And it took me like 6 months to win them over. And at the end, you know, I'm driving through in the morning. Basically the reason why I use resin in all of my work is because I became very good at and obsessed with epoxy systems. You know, we painted the hull like twice, like a rain cloud would come over, ruin the whole thing. We'd have to like sand and prep and whatever. So anyways, yes, worked on a boatyard. And everything that I learned during that time directly fits into all the work that I currently make, which also, I feel like you're the only person that's ever really asked me about that, so thanks. It really played such a massive role in everything that I've made since.
Awesome.
You're the best, Floor.
Same. So now we have a more laid back part of the panel. We're getting towards the end, but basically I put some very Miami, like there are questions that are deep, but they're very Miami related.
What are you trying to say, bro?
Sounds like an oxymoron, but you have to pick your question and then answer it.
Immediately.
Immediately.
There is a sad clock here.
What do you... What do you think would be a good topic that the Miami art world should address more?
Is that casual?
No. I gotta be careful.
I put one last one for me too.
Okay.
So then I'm not just like
I'm
doing
sorry,
this to
I'm
you
gonna
guys.
have to reread it. I mean, there's so many good topics to like touch base. Besides them being good, I think there's some really bad topics that we should talk about, and maybe we should focus on those.
Mm-hmm.
At a community level, I think that we should talk about what are we missing that we need to create for ourselves in order to be considered a little bit more proactive in the art world. Like I feel like Miami is missing a little bit of critique groups and a publication and somebody that talks mad shit about the work, you know. So right?
It's true. Real talk.
I do my best when I go to my friends and I tell them, please rip me out, you asshole. I think that within us, that's what we can talk about. But then it's kind of like selfish to just focus on that, being that there's so many other topics that are the topics that we all know. I don't need to say them because I might exclude someone. And the next question is for you.
Okay, it was a good.
I'm gonna answer the same question.
It was a good way to navigate it.
There's just like a few in here. There's just like 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh wow. Name 1 or 2 local artists that you think we should be paying attention to. Well, Kelly and Luna.
You have to be nuanced. That doesn't count. I should have explained that.
That's a tough question. So I've always felt very much alienated from Miami. I'm Cuban American, born here, raised in Miami, and I've always felt very alienated from just kind of the Miami scene and the idea of what Miami is in this kind of kaleidoscope of dance music and parties and Ultrafest and Art Basel, and I always felt, you know, when I grew up, well, when I was young, I came from the north, from Philadelphia, and I always, you know, I felt coming to Miami was kind of this like, this place sucks. And then I kind of started to realize, you know, as I got older, I'm like, well, you find like the kind of little bits and pieces of stuff that exists down here that are kind of like, you have this kind of suburban darkness and this kind of like, you know, the underbelly of this like very fabulous neon lit society. So to name, wow, 2 artists, I don't know, I haven't found them yet. I do a record label, I do a music label releasing underground experimental music, and it kind of started with the intent of releasing local artists, and it's a very close-knit community down here with people that are kind of into weird, strange things, and Flora knows all about this, and so we all kind of stick together, and I feel like we all kind of know each other. So I'm looking forward to, and not to say that there's not amazing work coming out of Miami, but what's the most exciting for me is what I haven't discovered yet. So it's the next artist that I might be able to work with, or release their music, or do an album cover for, or I don't know, collage with, or whatever. So nobody as of yet.
True. Perfect. Oh God, I'm so nervous.
I put an extra one for me, so then I don't make you guys go
You
through
have to
this.
answer the one you gave me too.
Okay.
No, I only answer the one that is left. That's fate.
All right, I'll trade you this bucket for the mic. Thank you, my friend. How has Miami's unique cultural and geographic identity influenced your artistic practice? In like every way. I don't know. I think it takes me an hour to get to my studio for my house, and it's when I do all my best thinking when I'm driving. And I was thinking about this recently because I have a solo show coming up in April, and I'm trying to put like all of the different stuff I do and like squeeze it into one thing. And I'm like, what, you know, how does Miami influence me? I'm like, truly just in every way. Like, I'm very observant, so I love looking at like signs and dump trucks and like, you know, everything around me. And it just looks so great here, you know, like it's fun going up north, but it's like, oh, there's some trees and a mailbox. And here it's just like nonstop stuff to look at and think about, and then funnel directly into the work. I feel like I'm not even answering this. How is Miami's unique cultural and geographic identity? Yeah, also just the tropics. They look better, they are better, aside from all of the horrible stuff going on down here. But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine being an artist anywhere else. It's just wild as hell.
Awesome. And then let's see, I put them together an hour before coming here, so I didn't really think about answers. So it's not,
Perfect.
Not that I cheated, you know. Oh, damn.
Oh, no.
I got the most complicated one. So it's, what can local artists and institutions do to help the work of Miami artists reach national recognition?
Perfect one.
That's, yeah, right?
That's you.
So I think it's just like produce so much work in all fronts, like from artists, you know, producing work and getting out there, even if it is like guerrilla style on the streets, taking advantage of all the touristic stuff that happens here and trying to put things on people's faces. I think, you know, creates a pressure cooker system. So basically keep on doing stuff. For writers, I'm lucky that I have a great system and like support system of writers. We have a WhatsApp group where we like bounce ideas, and there are so many good writers that they do it, obviously not for the money. They just write. So, you know, like I think we are getting closer in a way to create that system. Because if we look at big cities like New York or LA, that they have a strong presence in a national situation, what they have is it's a system. You have the media, you have the good art, and then you have the media, you have not that good art, and you also have the media like kind of validating that. I was very lucky when I started putting together the zine, and I'm like, I don't know, like people will like a zine, and I'm like, yeah, it's like guerrilla style. People can grab it, they can have it. It's easy to be distributed. It's expensive, but it's not that expensive to print as a full magazine. So I opted the guerrilla way of doing things, talking about all local artists. And I sent a wild email to the editor of Paper Magazine, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this. Can you give me an hour of your time to give me advice? And I was like, I'm sure he's not gonna answer. And he answered. Whoa. And we got in a full hour call. And I even told him, like, hey, I can pay for your time for a consultancy. That was the hook on the thing. But when I talked to him, of course, he didn't want any money. He was like, I love that, you're taking this approach. And he gave me amazing advice that how national publications that, get that kind of like advertisers and that kind of like system, how they think. And, he told me, like, he was like, you're right, focus on hyper local. And that is, how the right stories that need to be told. So in a way, it was great to feel heard. And I was like, if we all reach out to someone that, we think it's like way far away from us in terms of achievement and, reach, but they might actually, say like, okay, this person is committed enough to email me, so I'm gonna take some time. And so I think that's what we all should be doing in all different kind of like stages. I know.
Nice.
And I didn't think yeah, no, he was great. I was happy. So so anybody that is here are the zines. They're $10 if you want to buy them. If not, we have our website where everything is free. So you can go to toomuchlovemagazine.com. Make sure to follow all the artists. Now you guys can tell your social media handles. And we're also going to have release party on December 5th. And if it doesn't conflict with anything that's happening here, because it's a priority, then you can go there. We're going to be...
Where are you having it?
It's going to be at Hoy Como Ayer in Calle 8. And we're going to be recording a live podcast with Brian Butler and with Justina Kiselewicz. I'm going to learn it by then.
You're doing great.
Yeah, thank you. And then we're going to have a little DJ set by Lauren Palma, who is from a local band here. She usually plays metal, but she's going to play salsa for us. Salsa records. So yeah, Luna, can you tell people where they can find you besides here?
My social media is Luna Palazzolo, and my last name is right there. I'm there. I'm in my studio in Little Havana all the time. We have a show opening. Can I? We have a show opening at Tono on the 30th. It's created by Reginald O'Neill, and it's an exhibition of photographs by the Esdras de Luzma. It's very, very beautiful. I might be biased, of course. And I have an opening at Primary Projects on the 30th, too, if anybody wants to come by.
Find me at, that's my last name because people like to really misspell it badly, Vergez. So it's Dick, Dick Vergez at Instagram. And then I also do my music label, which is called Noir Age, which is at noir_age. I mentioned the show for Art Week at Sweat Records, where I'll be having some of the album covers that I've designed up on display, and then I'm doing a video art, sound art workshop at Locust Projects on December 19th.
Ooh, nice.
Woo!
Plug.
Yeah, it's plug time.
They're good plugs though.
Well, you know, everyone's making their art week plans. I'm on Instagram under Kelly Breez. Let's be friends. Yeah, there's no E on the end, so don't even try. And I don't know, what am I up to? I have a towel in Brian's awesome beach towel art show. See you on the sand. Everyone has to go. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be some old Miami shit. And then doing a drawing workshop at Nada with Dale Zine. Unfortunately, it's the same time as the Zine release. Anyways. And I also have a solo show coming up in April at Katya's KDR. So I want to see every single one of you there. And thanks for having us.
Of course, thank you. And one last thing that I want to say is that the scene was supported by all local businesses, which is amazing. So I wanted to thank them. It's Technique Records, Saints and Sisters, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. But Lalo Tequila. That they're national, but you know they're the national flag, and Aramis Laurier. And that I wanted to thank because I think that's very important about creating community. So does anybody have any questions for the artists?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with some of you and in different ways, but beyond making your work, a lot of you guys do so much programming, and that is part of the work, I feel like. And I wanted to ask, and we haven't worked together yet, but we will. But Richard and Kelly, we've done programs before, like the workshops that you guys mentioned, and Richard with Emerson Dorish over the last couple months that they were doing this program with sound, and I thought it was so cool. So I kind of wanted to know a little bit about how programming like that plays into your work. It's more for Richard, but Kelly too also.
So I feel like outside of just doing something visually, I feel like kind of the a wearer of all hats or whatever. I feel like there should always be an expanded side to just an exhibit. It's not just going to be paintings on the wall or collages on the wall or a video piece or whatever. Like, why can't we bring performance art into it? Why can't we bring different elements of creativity and expression to kind of keep something alive? Because it's like an exhibit opens and then everybody comes in and they have the drinks, the cheese, and they talk and nobody looks at the art. And then, well, what if we had a reason to come back to that same gallery and experience the work, but experience the work in another context with, by incorporating maybe a local sound artist or composer or performance artist or painter, and kind of meld the arts together and find a way to kind of expand the two-dimensionality of sometimes how the gallery can be, and why not make it a party or make it a concert or a performance. So that's important to me. And Kelly
we had the karaoke. There was so much. There were concerts. The Dirt's Dive incorporated so much.
What are we gonna do this year?
I don't know. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just saying this to James. Like, I love being an artist and like spending time alone, figuring out how to make stuff, and really like thinking about stuff. But it's also boring being alone and quiet all the time. Like, it's nice to have a bunch of shit going on and everybody. I mean, yeah, like we're all like being good at different things and incorporating different, sound and, I don't know. There's just so many things that can play into a project. Like, why not activate the hell out of something? Because
it's like when your parents are out of town, you're gonna have like a party all fucking weekend.
Essentially, right? That's exactly what the deal is.
To work with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do as much shit
You clawed your way into this space. Let's have maximum parties. Like, come on. Yeah, the end.
Awesome. Any other questions? I think we talked too much.
Did anyone see Gladiator yet?
It was so bad.
You guys all went to Wicked. I know it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. And if you have questions for the artists, we're gonna stick around. There's more wine there.